Sixth turn of the Virgin Queen, out of 7. This has already gone further than the Here I Stand games that I played went. Granted, my opposed game was the tournament game, but it was one of my objections to Here I Stand that it was very difficult to keep someone. It didn't, you could prevent one particular person, but to keep anyone from crossing that victory point line. Well, here, even though there are this multitude of different victory point, generators, I think more than there are in Here I Stand, more different little options and choices, it's still kind of tough, at least in my experience, to crack that 25-point line. And I like that. I like the fact that the game really probably needs to go that 7 turns. It's especially important that it need to go 6. Here's why, because you're all still adding cards in the 5th turn. Now, for me, there's one sort of big thing, well, maybe a couple big things that haven't happened in this game. One is the French Huguenot Revolt hasn't happened. And you can see the effect of that on the French victory points. Wow, and that's just going to keep growing. So France is definitely the bunny right now. Another one is the big English-Spanish War. Now, we kind of blundered into an English-Spanish War, but they haven't really been taking it seriously. We're not seeing the Armada sailing over. I don't know if that's a great thing to do anyway, and with England down here with Spain, not really threatening to be a leading power, they've been largely left alone, it's maybe less tempting to the Spaniards to do it. Now, granted, the enterprise of England could come up again. More points for England, great. Penalty for Spain, not so good. But Spain doesn't have that in their hand, so they may not be so tempted to pursue this. Of course, they are stuck in a war with England. They can't avoid that. So, if ever there's an opportunity, it's going to arise. Someone will grab it. All right, let's look at what happened in... I wanted to look at the points, the amount of cards people have gotten. It's kind of flattened out a little bit. The Germans are down to 3 still with their -1 card chip. I can take these off now. And the other person who got one was the Spaniards, who are at 5, which is as big as anyone's got. The French also have 5. But, everybody else is at 4. It's kind of... not as extreme a variance as it was. What is extreme, though, is look at all these Spanish treasures that made it home this turn. Nobody really raided Spain, and that's going to give them a lot more ability to do stuff. Not necessarily fighting the war, but they can fight the war and do other things, intrigue and whatever, that maybe don't seem as important. I kind of like that option in this game. And Here I Stand, you felt like you had to choose between the war or these victory point generators, and it was a hard choice. Here, if you have these treasures, you have this kind of opportunity to say, yeah, I got to pursue the war, there's no question. But I can still also aim for my top priorities in victory point charges. Now, Spain has gotten away with a lot of these points. The English have also picked up a few of them through mainly piracy events. The French just got a treasure off their colony, but both England and Spain are only doing moderately well. So it's not a game breaker here. It's not like all those treasures really are huge. But it's a nice factor in the game to be able to make that choice between what you're going to do. Are you going to pursue your military goals? Are you going to pursue your keys? Whatever. And are you also going to go for some of these other options that are floating out there? Okay, so let's take a look at what happened in diplomacy. Basically, everybody said, we're in too many wars. And there was pretty much mass peace outbreaking where it can. One of the reasons for this is there are people interested in going to war with France. In particular, the Spanish would have liked to, but they don't feel like they really can terribly. They have their Milan garrison. They could put that under Don Juan. So they may still be considering this. But right now they have a problem with England, where the Duke of Parma is sitting up here with 2 strength points, and the English have more, and the Duke's sitting here with Brussels and Antwerp. And that's just very, very tempting. Very tasty little morsel there that preferably the Spaniards would rather not, have to face. But I think the English, with their, hey, not far from an auto win, are going to pursue it. And there's no way for Spain to get England to go to peace with them. That's part of the rule. So what we did see in diplomacy, though, is Spain and the Ottomans, Spain and the Protestants, and England and the Protestants all cleared up their wars. There is a question, though, in my head. If Spain can get France to ally with them, they will definitely not declare war on them. France isn't willing to bow down to that level. So now we're stuck in this question of, does Spain want to try pursuing a war with France? I'll make a quick roll for that. Spain does not. They're going to hold off on that, and they're going to pursue their English war more vigorously. So we'll see how that all turns out. Okay, so far on this turn, the Turks have laid siege to Vienna again, built up some additional troops. The Spaniards built up the Armada for some potential expedition in England, I suppose. The English position themselves to shift over to Dunkirk so that they can affect the Spanish. Right now they don't have a way through. It's really hard to move through the Netherlands, which I guess is fairly historical, but there's no easy way to get from... if they had an alliance with the Dutch, they could move through, but right now they're kind of trapped, and I didn't think they were. There's no line here. These stupid stand-up things kind of help obscure the board. And yes, why am I using them? Well, they do also provide a certain other advantage. The French have gone next. They played a Dutch revolt card. The current situation gave each of Spain, England, and the Dutch a victory point. It's not the optimal situation for the French, but they don't see it getting any better, particularly. The amount of Spanish control kind of precludes that. The Spaniards are probably not going to gain any territory the way the board looks, so they wanted to play that card, and they used it to finish up. All of France is now Catholic. They've kind of succeeded in their goal, but of course the Protestants can come back. All right, on to the trailing end of things. Cleared things up with the German home card, putting Galileo over there. He's got a +1 bonus instead of Rudolph's +2. Hey, that's okay. And the Dutch provoking a Protestant incursion into France. They have lost all their French territory, French Protestant territory, so they have to kind of work their way back in through areas that are currently Protestant. Well, the Turks took Vienna. They played an attack on it, and they had to do it twice, but before they played that attack, they played this Reiter's card, which allows them to remove 2 mercenaries from anywhere on the map, and they removed them from Vienna, thereby making it easier. It's kind of a stalemate, though, now between Vienna and Prague. I'm not sure what the Turks are going to do. They probably try to raise points other ways, say through piracy, which might be hard. They don't have a lot of corsairs right now, I don't think. Dragud is very good. They got 2 corsairs. They may have to build some and set out. And I'll have to look up because they may only be allowed to build them in Algiers and Djerba, which might make things a little more difficult. Anyway. Beyond that, let's see, Spaniards, I don't remember what the hell they did. I know they built up their troops, but they did something else, kind of less military. I don't remember what. And, they turned in a treasure card to give themselves the telescope advantage, which gives them an advantage in naval combats. The English moved into place here at Ghent and are facing off against the Duke of Parma. That's solely to their advantage at this point. And they've got a couple of easy to besiege areas there. This is kind of scary. They take those 2 areas, they've got the win. And there's not really anyone but Spain that can do anything about it. people might have some cards to play, but it's looking really ugly. Spain's got to focus on them. And the French went up pirating against Spain, taking one of their treasures. It was a good one, actually. And let's see, the Germans sponsored some more artists, trying to pump their victory points up to try to keep pace with the French. Right now they don't feel like they have much chance. And finally, we go to the Dutch, who have continued to spread Protestantism through here with the hopes of throwing a revolt, help put France into trouble. Well, once again, I'm going to cover just the top 4 people right off. The Ottomans successfully constructed the Suez Canal. This gives them a few bonuses, plus 2 victory points, which of course we've got recorded over here. But beyond that, we've also got, they'll be getting an extra card each turn, and they'll also be able to launch expeditions into the Indian Ocean without them being damaged. They start off weaker. They can also colonize now. All kind of nice things, none of them terribly useful this late in the game. But the 2 victory points is good. The extra card will be useful. It was the best they could do, really. They didn't want to open up a new siege. Now they've got another card they can hold on to until next turn and kind of pass for the rest of this turn, rather than trying to squeak out victory points using piracy at this point in the game. Spaniards, so they launched the Armada. Got up here, defeated the English fleet that was here. Hawkins was unable to intercept it, and it was unable to escape. And then some Spanish troops landed at Dover. They haven't conquered it yet, but they forced the English to immediately raise up some mercenaries in London, make it harder to take. They don't want to lose a key at this point, but alas for them, the French had the Scottish lords rebel. Now, this is not terribly strange in my view, but Scotland was a conquered territory that was Protestant held, and the Protestants ended up winning the diplomacy die roll. They were at even odds with the English. It goes back to them. Now, they're no longer at war with England. The English are not automatically at war with Scotland. They just let it go and withdraw their troop, and there's some Scottish troops there. I'm not thrilled with the fact that this conquered minor that they didn't control has come back into place, and they don't get a chance to just say, hey, no, I'm at war. I don't think they would, but that did drop their chance of getting that automatic victory that they were hoping for over here, and now England's in a bit of trouble, actually. And, well, we'll go on to the bottom part. And for that bottom part, what happened? The Germans really don't have much they can do with their cards. They spent a quick 2-point card. The Puritans over there. I don't know what the... Oh no, that wasn't them. It was the Dutch card. But they spent a 2-point card. Useful against Turkey, but they're not really navally inclined. Just to build troops in Prague. They don't have much they can do to generate points. And they honestly can't do much with their military. Their only leader is here. If he wasn't captured, they'd have a 6-point default leader, a 0-6. But the fact that they have a captured leader precludes them from getting that. So instead, they have no leader and can only command 4 troops at once. That's not going to be enough to take on the Sokulu Mehmed, the vizier, I believe. And then the second the second person there is the Protestants, and they did another activation in France, caused some unrest in Paris with a major success, and they're trying to pave the way for a revolt for themselves. They're going to need 4 to get an automatic victory, but if they can kind of push things, well, maybe they can get something of a success if they can maybe threaten Paris. If they can't this turn, well, maybe at least they can cause enough of a problem that the religious wars extend and the Spaniards get involved in this. Anyway, I'm going to load this one up. We're most of the way through the turn, but I'm afraid I'm not going to get any, have time to finish it up and load up a longer video tonight. So up it goes.